Sometimes in the Asylum Life community, you run across some people who are just really great. They're good at helping people. They've got a wonderful knowledge base, and Modern Magician is one of those guys. I've really enjoyed getting to know him over the last year. He's been hanging out in our Discord, and he's great at AI. He knows 3D printing. He knows robotics. There's so many different things that he has. I was really excited to get a chance to interview him and talk with him and just really kind of dig down into where he's been, what he's done, and what his outlook for the future is. So I hope you enjoy this interview. We're going to start off with 3D printing. We're going to move into some AI, and we're actually going to talk to him a little bit about doing a class on AI prompts. So let me know if you like this interview. Please like, follow, subscribe, do all the things you can to help support this channel. And I really hope you enjoy this interview. Getting into the 3D printing. How long have you been 3D printing?
Since about 2010, 2011.
Okay. Okay. And what was your first printer?
So my first printer was a MakerBot replicator, um, and it was a company-owned printer
Okay.
uh, that failed at least 80% of the time.
Yeah.
Uh, but then my second printer was a Stratasys.
Oh,
Uh,
dang.
yeah, big boy.
Yeah, going for the big ones.
That's right, and it failed about 40% of the time.
Well, our percentages are going up. That's good.
That's right.
So
I
now
can't tell you that.
what
Oh,
were
go
you
ahead.
printing with that, with the Stratasys one?
With the
Was
Stratasys
it
one,
just
I
straight
worked.
FDM or was it something else?
Yeah, it's FDM,
Okay.
but Stratasys had a lot of the technology in it that Bamboo Labs brought to the prosumer market. So it had support material. The build plates in it were disposable, and it used ABS.
I gotcha.
And it came with a separate tank that you had to put the prints in after they were done to get the support material to dissolve.
Oh, okay. So it was a
I worked with a
dissolvable supports.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I worked with a contract manufacturer then, so I was working then after they were done to get the support material to dissolve.
Oh, okay. So it was a
I worked with a
dissolvable supports.
yeah,
Okay.
and I worked with a contract manufacturer then, so I was working for Disney, for Verizon, for a couple other.
Okay.
And I worked with a contract manufacturer then, so I was working for Disney, for Verizon, for a couple other smaller companies, contract manufacturing, at the same time when I was running the Stratasys. So we did everything from like battery holsters to full on robotics.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's cool. But so what was do you remember the bed size?
Oh, it was small. I
Yeah.
want to say I want to say it was 160.
Okay. Yeah, somewhere around there, probably the 160, 120, something. I know a lot
Yeah.
of them were definitely on the smaller side at that time, but that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I think you're probably the first early Stratasys person I've ever met. I know the MakerBot guys, they're the grumpy ones, right? Nate, Nate's a MakerBot guy.
Yeah.
So, oh, that's cool. That is cool. So, what was the first printer you purchased personally?
It was a Blue Eagle Labs Castle Clear. It's a Delta printer.
Okay. I have
And I
never heard of Blue Eagle Labs.
Yeah, they were a Kickstarter who really brought to market the first couple of Delta printers um, before FL Sun and all of that.
Right.
Um, and so they sold them as kits, like Voron kits are sold today. And I bought two of them. I bought the Castle Clear, which was an acrylic kit with V-roll, kind of things, and the arms were acrylic as well. And then the second one was the all metal, and it was a much improved upgrade.
Yeah. Okay. That's interesting. So are you more of a Delta printer person?
No, right now I have two X1Cs and an A1
Okay.
that I run, but you can't deny the sexiness of a Delta printer.
They are pretty cool.
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree. They are pretty cool. I know a lot of people who want one.
Yeah.
So are three printers, is that all you own right now?
No, I have five or so in storage, and then I have let me see if you can see it. Oh, it's on the other side. I have a Tico on the other side of the room.
Oh, you can't, so you can't see it in the shot?
Yeah, I'd
Oh,
have to pan over.
okay, okay, no problem, no problem. Okay, okay, that's cool. So what's your favorite printer that you use right now?
Yeah, the X1C is my favorite,
Okay,
hands down. Yeah, it's got its quirks,
yeah.
but people who said it was the Apple of printers really were right. Going from that MakerBot in the early days to this, it is very much, press print and go.
Yeah, but definitely the first step towards appliance, or say
Mhm.
huge step towards appliance, I should say, not necessarily the first, but they were good machines. They were good. Now, as far as what you print on them, what is the purpose behind your printing? What do you do?
Yeah, so I still do a little bit of robotics with it, and a lot of that's under NDA. But then I also print, toys for the kids,
Okay.
some multicolor prints. I like to just print things that I can take to market and sell, and kind of pay for some of the AI tools that I use.
Right.
Uh, so just things like that. Uh, Recently did a commission with the local middle and high schools for a program with NASA for planning the moon, and they needed a container in order to put plants in simulated moon soil to let the students experiment with like how you would actually grow plants on the moon.
Uh,
And so that was one of the like projects I take on the side to help like STEM and things like that.
that is pretty cool. That sounds like an interesting project. Now, did they have to watch what was the movie Mars? What was the they
Yeah,
have to
yeah,
watch?
nice. Yeah, I don't know if they'll let that one into the schools, but that would be
Probably
a good one.
not. Probably not. Maybe a
Yeah,
little section. Maybe a little section. Well,
yeah.
that's cool. That is really cool. What other types of machines besides 3D printing? What else do you have? Because I know one of your things you like technology. You like to try a lot of different things. So what else do you have?
Right. In a previous career, I was actually in construction. Uh, so I did houses and drywall and electricity and things like that before I got into like software and making. So I have a CNC machine. I have two CNC machines. I have laser cutters, full garage of woodworking tools. The island in my kitchen, I built that out of some old like cherry wood we found and reclaimed on the farm. Uh,
Cool.
so yeah, I like to be a generalist and just work with my hands when I'm not building software.
Yeah.
But my favorite thing to tinker with is when I can combine the two passions and actually, make something hard that runs software or cloud enabled things that make it seem magic. So
Yeah.
like bring those two things together.
Okay. Okay. You said so many things there. Guys, make sure I don't forget. We're going to go back to that word farm in a little bit. And then we're going to go back to hardware. We'll hit those. Just so talking about the stuff that you make, we'll hit those. Just so talking about the stuff that you make, do you have, and this has been my thing lately, do you have like an everyday carry item that kind of symbolizes what you do, or a 3D print you carry with you all the time, or just something with everything applied to it?
Oh yeah, so my desk I can't show it right now
Hmm.
because it is an awful mess, but it always has little buttons or switches or little fidgets like that, so that I can, when I'm in meetings, I can click them or I can play with them. I showed this little cow from Sassy Cat 3D a little bit
Right.
ago. I'll sit here and twiddle with the cow. Uh, but yeah, I've got several 3D prints just strewn about the desk. I've got some microcontrollers, and some custom displays and things like that,
Okay.
just laying here that I'll connect up and play with when I have downtime. But
Okay.
yeah, my everyday carry outside of here, I don't necessarily carry 3D prints with me, but I gotta have my knife, gotta have my wallet, and I'm good to go.
Yeah, yeah. I get those. I get those. I 3D printed my wallet. That's kind of my 3D print and my little maker coin that I take with me everywhere. So that's awesome.
Yeah,
Okay.
always with.
Yep. That's
Yeah.
cool. That's cool. That's awesome. Okay. Okay. Well, so you have the toys. You said that you go to places and you sell them and everything. So how many shows are you doing? What how else do you sell?
Yeah, I don't really sell at a lot of shows. We have a local like farmers market that I'll go to and sell at.
Okay.
I have friends that I'll sell things to or take commissions from. I've set up a TikTok shop and tried to sell a few things on there. It hasn't really sold anything, but people have then went through my TikTok shop to the website and purchased things off of there.
Yeah.
Um, so I am trying to sell some things and trying to get out there, but I haven't really went out and did that a bunch. One of the alternative things that I did is Lightspeed. I don't know if you know him, but he makes
Yeah.
these canisters for wire nuts.
Yeah.
And so I went to a local, uh, kind of not a lumber shop, but a local hardware store, and was like, "Hey, you want to start putting these on your shelves next to the thing? I'll sell them to you cheap and let you do a markup on them." And so they purchase a bunch of those
Okay.
every month to go
That's
stock their shelves with.
that's awesome. That is great. That is I do a lot more local store stuff myself. I don't do festivals. I have found
Mhm.
one that doesn't take up my weekends as much, and two, I get exposed to more customers just kind of on a weekly
That's right.
basis, and I get more calls from them. So that's always nice. That's always nice. But I did, guys. I'll put this up there again. But this is the link tree. If y'all want to know and see the things that he does, I think he's got some models that he's made over there that he sells. He's got the shops and everything that he has, and he sells stuff in. So definitely go and check that out. He also has all of his other social media over there. You know, we're talking about diversifying and just keeping track of each other. I always want to point that out. That is a great place to go and find other people's social medias so you can keep track of them in case anything happens, right? Now, with that in mind, are you like branching out to any ideas so you can keep track of them in case anything happens, right? Now, with that in mind, are you like branching out to any other socials? I know you do a lot over on TikTok. Are you branching out
Yeah.
to other socials right now?
TikTok's my primary. I do post on Facebook and Instagram. I've had times in the past where I focused more on Facebook or I focused more on Instagram. There was a time when I was on X, back when it was Twitter, that I had more followers than my local government did. So I was happy about that. But yeah, I've floated around over the years to different things, but I've started reposting all of my videos over on YouTube, trying to make them not TikTok specific.
Right.
And also, I'm
It trickier to find your audience in those places?
absolutely. I found most of my audience on Instagram from TikTok, the
Okay.
ones that have Instagrams. But yeah, it's definitely a different, like, TikTok's a unicorn in the social media world where, you know, I wouldn't say that I'm super successful. I've got around, I think, 1,600 followers.
Right.
Uh, but those 1,600 to me are, that's hitting it big. Like on Instagram, I think I got like 300, and on YouTube, I got like 200. So,
Right. Well, and I usually find that it's not so much the size of your audience, it's the interactivity. It's, yeah, I hate to use the word influence, but it's kind of how you work together and how you influence each other that makes you, yeah, I hate to use the word influence, but it's kind of how you work together and how you influence each other that makes you more of a community than just people who follow each other. Um,
yeah,
and so I find that over here I have more people who follow each other. Um,
yeah.
and so I find that over here I have more people that I interact with. So I'm kind of the same as you. Now, do you get in on any of the discords or anything? Is there? I think we've seen somebody in here from PTAD asking who your favorite PTAD female host is.
It's got to be Buddy, right?
Probably.
Maybe. But yeah, I'm pretty much in most of the 3D printer discords, from everything from the 3D printing discord to PTAD to the one that Laws is in,
Right.
uh, several filament manufacturer ones. I actually have hit the limit of servers that I can be in on Discord many times over now.
Right, right. Oh, and my Discord, you're also in, last week I talked about the Creative Mastermind Discord, which is a really great place to go. I know you're over there. This Discord, guys, is just another great place. If you're not there, it's a really great place to have some conversations and find different communities and just do some different things together. We interviewed PTAD last week. We had a good conversation with them. And so
With the best female host,
the
right?
best female host. She said the only female host currently is what she's saying. So
Mhm. That's like I have 4 kids. I have 3 boys and 1 girl.
okay.
And I'm like, you're my favorite daughter.
Yeah, exactly. You're my favorite oldest son. You're my favorite
That's right.
youngest son. Yeah. My dad pulled those tricks. I know. I know how it works.
Yeah.
Um well, so 3 kids. That's
Oh,
awesome. Now, I heard you say the word farm a minute
yeah.
ago. And so you're talking 3 kids, you're talking farm. That's
Oh, yeah.
awesome. Now, I heard you say the word farm a minute
Mhm.
ago, and so you're talking 3 kids, you're talking farm. How big of a farm are we talking? You're living on a farm? You're making a farm? What? Tell that's
Oh, yeah.
awesome. Now, I heard you say the word farm a minute
Mhm.
ago, and so you're talking 3 kids, you're talking farm. How big of a farm are we talking? You're living on a farm? You're making a farm? What? Tell me all about that.
So my family is from this area, moved down to Greensboro and then back up. There's a family farm that's kind of associated with us. It's around 1,000 acres.
Mm.
It was a dairy farm. Now it's more of a beef cow farm. And it's less than a mile away from my house. I have 2 acres on my own property and then 10 miles of woods in behind me.
Oh wow.
Uh, and I'm less than 3 miles from the Blue Ridge Parkway. So to
Okay.
say that
Wow.
we like the outdoors is, an understatement.
Yeah, that's a beautiful area. That's a really, really, really beautiful area. That's cool.
Yeah, I'm actually the road that butts up to mine is the old moonshine distilling road that they used to use in order to transport the
Oh,
moonshine back and forth between Floyd and Franklin County.
that is great. That is great. There's so much on the East Coast over here, just that old moonshine running and everything from New York down south.
That's right.
So much of that. That is awesome. That is awesome. Now, are you a farmer? Do you run moonshine? Do you do any?
Yeah, people have called me a Renaissance guy because I like to make my own beer. I like to
Okay.
make moonshine. I have some mead in the back that we talked about before the show that I have sitting up. Let me. I don't know if we can actually show it on the show.
Sure, why not? Won't hurt me. I'll
Have
make
some
it big.
premium distilled uh, alcohol there
That's
with
cool.
some smoke sticks in it.
Okay. Okay. Now, what did you what is that?
So this is called a sugar wash, where you take sugar, water, and yeast and run it through a distillation process, and then it's sticks in here of like maple, sugar maple that has been burnt and charred a little bit that you
Oh,
put down in
wow.
there.
Okay.
I'm, I'm experimenting with this where I vacuum sealed this up to kind of get out any air, and it's been sitting for around 6 months now,
Oh,
but
wow.
it's got some good eyes on it.
I'm sure. I'm sure. Yeah, pick it up, shake it every now and then just to make sure everything's mixing
Right.
and all that. That's awesome. That is great. I do a dandelion wine and sure. I'm sure. Yeah, pick it up, shake it every now and then just to make sure everything's mixing
Right.
and all that. That's awesome. That is great. I do a dandelion wine and I do a couple of different things. I love fermenting. I make
Mhm.
cabbage every year and give it away as gifts, or sauerkraut and give it away as gifts and um,
Right.
I love doing that type of stuff, but you don't farm any, no growing plants, no.
No, we're so close to the big farm
Mhm.
that that we reap the rewards, and I'll go over and help them, but I don't. I'm not an actual farmer.
I gotcha. Okay. Okay. I do the garden thing. I wouldn't call myself a farmer, but you know, I have the garden. I'm more of a wild garden guy. I like,
Yeah.
you know, planting things in odd places and just letting it grow up and pick stuff. Oh, we got bearded wanting to pull out his brewing equipment. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. I do kombucha. I do a lot of kombucha. I do that. Yeah. I think we all play. I think we all enjoy doing a lot of different things, whether you want to call your Renaissance man or whether you want to admit you have ADHD. Uh,
That's right.
you got to
Yeah,
you got to keep
they
going.
call me a Renaissance man. I just know that it's ADHD, and I'm hyper focused on this thing at the moment.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. And then
Yeah.
you'll move on later.
I had forgotten to mention that I also have a resin printer, and you want to go from tiny diny, right?
Oh
You
yeah,
said everybody's giving you the little tiny dinies. Uh, want to go from that up to the bigger diny, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So uh, this was a challenge that Akuma Mod set out, and one of the coolest things that got me super interested in TikTok was, this guy got on there and was like, "I made the smallest Tiny from this model, and then I was able to print it like half the size of that, and then Akuma Mod printed it half the size of that, and then I did even smaller. I was like, I made the smallest Tiny from this model, and then I was able to print it like half the size of that, and then Akuma Mod printed it half the size of that, and then I did even smaller. So
That's
it
cool.
was just a community driven, challenge of like how small can you get?
That's coming from.
Ah,
I don't know. I keep hearing myself echo pretty hard, but that's better. Something happened. We're good now. We are interviewing Modern Magician for those of you who are stepping in and don't know what is going on. We're talking with him about his life. We've looked at so many different things, how he got into 3D printing, just what he's doing right now. Looked at so many different things, how he got into 3D printing, just what he's doing right now. And what I really want to dig into right now are some of the projects that he's working on. But I also want to talk about kind of how looked at so many different things, how he got into 3D printing, just what he's doing right now. And what I really want to dig into right now are some of the projects that he's working on. But I also want to talk about kind of how he came to this point. So I know, so like even going back to high school, were these the types of things you were interested in? Were you always interested in electronics? Did you play football? What kind of stuff happened in high school?
yeah, in high school, total nerd. I was horrible at school. The ADHD was untreated, and so um, my teachers would comment like, "Hey, he's always distracted and trying to create trouble, but he aces all of his tests. So, what can we do? What can we do with him?" It got so bad during high school that I was actually like had my IQ tested and things like that, where they were trying to figure out what was wrong with me. But it turned out it was just ADHD, and
Okay.
I'm still untreated to this day, but diagnosed. So I've
Okay.
learned coping mechanisms. I actually dropped out of high school at 14. Yeah, 15.
Uh-huh.
15. Yeah, I dropped out of high school at 15, so like 10th grade, got a GED and started in the workforce uh, as a bag boy. But I was always into computers. I built my first computer when I was 8.
Mm.
Basically worked with my first robot at 8 as well. We had a program from Dow Corning that come in and had a guy that was basically, here's Dow Corning's robot, y'all go play with it. And so I learned about how to do machine control and things like that.
Wow,
Also
that's
learned
awesome.
HTML at that time. So yeah, it was an interesting experience. When I got my first job as a bag boy and met my wife at that time, met my wife when I was around 16, 17. We got married when we were 18.
Wow.
Uh, but then I also, on the side, did computer work. And you can imagine how a computer shop works in a super small town with one stoplight. Um, it wasn't it wasn't the most profitable, but I got to meet a lot of people and learn a lot of things.
Okay. Now, when you say computer work, talk to me about that a little bit.
Yeah, it's basically upgrading people's memory, doing defrags at the time, helping them install software, restoring, grandma's lost photos. The coolest one that I got at that time was this guy come in with this lump of plastic that was in his house fire, and it was a blue, one of the blue iMacs of the time, and he's like, "This has got all my family pictures on it. I don't know how to get it off of there. Can you recover it?" And I was able to take the drive out and run some Linux recovery software on it, and actually recover a lot of those photos for him. So it was a pretty cool experience to go from here's this lump of plastic that was in a house fire to here's all your photos on a new drive.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is really awesome. Do you remember what your first computer was that you built?
It was a Tandy. It was an X86.
Okay. So like the Tandy 1000 or something around there?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Those
But
those machines that were like 92% DOS compatible.
that's right. Yeah, I had a guy that lived down the street from me that worked at IBM. Like I said, we had moved from Floyd to Greensboro, North Carolina at the time, and so I kind of grew up in between the two.
Right.
And so this guy worked at IBM, and he would bring home computer parts and was like, "Hey, do you want these?" And so I just rummaged through his, collection of computer parts and was able to build one. And then the next summer, he took me to like one of the computer swap meets down there, and I was hooked. It was kind of like a maker fair, but for computer parts.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. We got people at Radio Shack. Yeah. Radio Shack was awesome. I loved it. I had a TRS-80 Model 16. Somebody had the same one I had. I had the white one though. I didn't have the
Nice.
black one. So that is cool. That is pretty cool. So you were building, so you built your first computer at 8.
Hmm.
Now what other were there clubs? I know you were said you were in a small town. Were there clubs and things that you were a part of? Were there people that that you hung out with on a regular basis?
Yeah, in the small town, there was another guy starting up a computer shop, and I finally wound up joining him as like part time, working on computers. Doing some odd repairs, for various things. But of course, the town couldn't support an entire computer shop at the
Right.
time. But yeah, the local community was pretty cool. In fact, Floyd now is even pretty connected, where everybody in Floyd has fiber. There's a lot of people that work in Northern Virginia that live in Floyd remotely. So yeah.
Okay. Okay. That is cool. That is cool.
Mhm.
So got your GED. You said, from there, what were your next steps? I mean, did you start, I know you said the grocery store and some other things. Um, how did you start moving towards the computer industry, towards where you are now?
Yeah, so I did a stint at Walmart as like the technology guy.
Okay.
Did a stint with, I was an advanced tech for EchoStar, which is now Dish Network.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
I did a stint at Walmart as like the technology guy.
Okay.
Did a stint with, I was an advanced tech for EchoStar, which is now Dish Network.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Uh, yeah, we had a huge building here locally for that. Uh, and after EchoStar, I realized if I'm going to make a name for myself in this industry, I have to really go somewhere and do something. And actually get a degree as well. So I got an opportunity to work for a small computer shop in Greensboro, called Engineered Software, and they made a product called PowerCAD. And so I moved to Greensboro, moved my wife with me. Um, we had three of our kids in Greensboro, kind of lived there for
Huh.
around 10 years. I went from engineered software, working on CAD software, over to it was basically the only CAD software for the Mac at the time. Autodesk hadn't made
Yep.
Mac software yet for it. And so PowerCAD was was the name brand in like 2D CAD software. Um, then I went on and got my degree in cybersecurity. My degree is actually in hacking. Kind of work night, work days, and went to school at night to get that done. And then went on to work at a company called RFMD, which stands for Radio Frequency Micro Devices.
Okay.
And there is where I really started getting my chops in. So I worked in the build room at first,
Okay.
assembling PCs still.
Okay.
So I went from I'm making software back into the hardware part, but then miraculously their marketing department, their website was just atrocious, and they knew that I knew how to write software, so they brought me in to help with the commercial website.
Mm-hmm.
But then I started working with a lot of the engineers there, which are working on microcontrollers, Zigbee, and basically all of the baseband microchips or boards that you have in your phone for connecting to the cell towers.
Yeah.
Learned an absolute ton from them. Even got to work on the team that helped solve Antenna Gate. I don't know if you remember
I
that.
don't know. I remember Antenna Gate. I do. I do. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I have a
So
friend. I have a friend you and I need to talk about offline. You may know him. You may know
okay.
him. So, but that's cool. That is cool. So keep going. So Antenna Gate. So did you
Yeah.
do stuff with Motorola or anything? Was any of
Yeah.
what you? Okay. Okay. I was hearing a lot of that in there, but not necessarily the name. So
Yeah, Motorola and Nokia were our top two clients
okay.
before Apple hit the scene. Once Apple hit the scene, everybody wanted Apple.
Hmm.
And after the four came out, people were scrambling to try to solve Antenna Gate, and my company had no Mac software experts. And so they had the thing that could actually solve Antenna Gate, which is changing the antenna based on attenuation of Antenna Gate, which is changing the antenna based on attenuation, or capacitance
Right.
from you holding it. But they didn't have any software that Apple would run, and Apple's like, we're not running Windows software,
Right.
we're running Macs. So I wrote the application that communicated with this switch to be able to allow Apple engineers to test it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is pretty
Uh,
cool.
yeah. So then RFMD changed names over to Corvo. I was laid off as part of the Marcom shift once they were doing their rebranding and everything. They tried to hire me back, and I was like, I'm good. Because I had done so much networking in the community that I had a job offer within 2 days. It was paying double. And that was X9 Technologies. So I went on to X9 and worked under an awesome mentor there that got me into. I was into 3D printing at RFMD because they were 3D printing the trays that they needed for the semiconductors to come off of the line, and I was helping them model that because I had modeling experience.
Okay.
Um, but when I went to X9, that really ramped up because now I needed to create robotics, specifically the Disney Magic Band. They needed to be able to OCR the Magic Bands to make sure that the laser had etched them correctly.
Right.
And so I helped them build a rack system that could hold the cameras and align the Magic Bands correctly and OCR those things. Had some AI involved to try to actually read them. So this was AI before AI was cool, probably back in 2012, 2013.
Right.
And so, yeah, went on to do a lot of that and really build up my skill set in the
Yeah.
maker realm because I had to 3D print, I had to cast stuff, I had to vacuum stuff, I had to laser stuff, CNC, the whole nine. If it came in and it was a problem to solve, we had to solve it for the customer right there,
Right.
and we had a ton of them. So
That's awesome. That is great. That's a lot of stuff, and that's a long road. That's a quick road, actually. That's
yeah,
a pretty, that's a
well,
really,
I'm
really,
representing about 15 years there.
yeah. That's still a pretty quick road. 15 years, while it feels long, flies by
Yeah,
so quickly sometimes.
definitely does.
Um, so that is great, and so that's really where all your hardware, software flies by
Yeah,
so quickly sometimes.
definitely does.
Um, so that is great, and so that's really where all your hardware, software, and design experience came from. I mean, I know you had been interested in it, but that's cool. And so that kind of
Mhm.
brings you to today. Now, the AI and design experience came from, I mean, I know you had been interested in it, but that's cool. And so that kind of
Mhm.
brings you to today. Now, the AI, so that early AI, you were saying 2012, kind of thing
Mhm.
that you were using. What, when you say that, are we talking basically an algorithm, or are we talking a little more advanced than what we think of as an algorithm?
Yeah, it was definitely more advanced. This was
Okay.
deep learning or a deep neural net
Okay.
back then. It was called Tesseract, and it's still
Oh,
available today.
yes, I know Tesseract. Okay. Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
that's cool. That is cool. So, so is that where you started getting interested in AI, or had you been doing some things with that already?
I was actually interested in it a little before that. So while I was RFMD, I got interested in making these holiday props, and me and several people that were in the community, in the maker community, um, were trying to build the best pumpkin, right? Trying
Right.
to build the coolest pumpkin, and so I had a Connect-enabled uh, pumpkin that could detect humans and shoot fire at them. And a book author, a book company got word of this, and while I was at a conference in Vegas, they approached me to write a book on Hacking Connect.
Okay.
And so my AI experience started with the Connect and trying to understand how it trained its models in order to do, human parsing or skeletal tracking.
Mm.
So early with so little hardware.
Right. Right. No, that's cool. I get that. So now that's
Mhm.
brought you up to this point where right now you've developed your own AI hardware product that you've been working on for a while, and I think you're calling it Pumpkin King.
That's right.
Okay. Kind of give everybody an idea of what Pumpkin King is.
And so the Pumpkin King is a 6 foot tall inflatable pumpkin that is AI enabled, where it can actually talk to you as the Pumpkin King. He has a character and everything. He can listen to you and then respond as the Pumpkin King. He also has a face on him that kind of morphs and talks to you as you answer your question. The evolution of him is pretty cool, and it stems from those flaming pumpkins back in the day, where first I had to try to figure out how to shoot flames. Then I went on Adafruit 2017,
Okay.
talking about an IoT enabled flaming talking pumpkin, um, and that one was basically you could hit a button and it would say, "Watch out, there's flames coming," and it would shoot the flames. Basically, you could hit a button and it would say, "Watch out, there's flames coming," and it would shoot the flames, right?
Yeah.
But it was IoT enabled. Like I could hit the button anywhere in the world and it would shoot it. Um, and then it evolved from there into the Pumpkin King. I had originally created the Pumpkin King before any of this LLM and AI stuff come along
Right.
with Google's text to speech and speech to text system. Uh, and it worked pretty well, except I had to, whenever I hit the button, I had to hit a button on the tablet in order to say, kind of initiate somebody's walked up. And it would do the dit whenever, the sound whenever you're starting to talk for your voice or speech to text.
Right.
It would do that dit, and then it would break the experience.
Okay.
But the new version of the Pumpkin King, you can just walk up to him and you can have a conversation. Whereas the previous one, it would ask you a question and it would do like a magic 8 ball kind of response
Right.
to the question. This new one, has all of ChatGPT's power to
Hmm.
actually respond to any question that you give it.
Okay. So you're using Chat GPT for that then.
Yeah, I'm started with ChatGPT. The demos that I've done at conferences have been ChatGPT powered. I'm using low powered LLMs now
Okay.
to try to get it all hardware based, and that's where the hardware that you're talking about comes in.
Right.
So I'm trying to I'm trying to get this into a contained unit that I could then sell as, here's a Halloween prompt, self-contained, that can answer all these questions and carry on a conversation.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Now, do you have videos of this on your TikTok channel?
I do, yeah. And in my link tree, uh, I have a special call out where you can go and watch those videos and go and download the code for the Pumpkin King and run him yourself.
Oh, awesome. Speaking of, so that's the link, guys, where y'all can find his link tree and everything. And hey, experiment, talk with him, collaborate with him. I'm sure he'd be happy to have some help in getting this set up and moving on to market. I think it's a great idea. I think it leads into a lot of just different. I can see Christmas. I can see all sorts of fun little things. That's awesome.
Yeah, I've already played with Chili the Snowman, which there's a video somewhere on my TikTok of him where I did the same thing. And
Okay.
we've even talked about trying to get like a little leprechaun for St. Patty's Day and stuff like that.
Okay. Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, Nate, that might work for you too. Nate's been working on his print buddy, trying to do an AI for his print buddy.
Yeah.
So that's cool. That is awesome, guys. I'm sorry. I know I see some people saying that they're getting a little lag every now and then. I'm not. I don't know where that's coming from. We are in several different places. If you're interested, you might try some of the other places. I'm not hearing any. TikTok is the only place that I'm seeing anybody. If you're interested, you might try some of the other places. I'm not hearing any. TikTok is the only place that I'm seeing anybody complain about that. And so we'll. But I seem to, for some reason, when I do this multicast type thing, TikTok likes to give me lag. Of course, me and TikTok have a love-hate relationship anyway. So anyway, for all the new people coming in, we are talking with Modern Magician here. He's a great guy in the 3D printing community. His name is David. We have not asked you about your brother yet, Mr. Bates. I know you get that joke all
Yeah,
the time.
he owns a hotel,
Yeah,
a little motel up on the ridge.
exactly. So if you have any questions, guys, get those questions in the room. We got probably about 10 more minutes before we kind of close up. I've got more questions that I'm going to keep going through. But I think we've learned a lot about them. Where do we get the book? Buddy is asking.
The book is no longer in circulation, but if you search for Hacking Connect on Amazon, you can probably still pull it up. There may be some straggling around. The Connect, when I released the book, Microsoft then released V2 of the API for it, so it went out of circulation pretty quick.
Okay, I'm seeing it. Yeah, I'm seeing it there.
Yeah.
I was looking really quick. Yep. Okay. There's also one over on the bay, the E by the bay. At
Oh,
least
okay.
when I'm seeing link-wise here. So, anywho, there you go. There you go. Let's see. I'm going to jump into my other questions I have here. Y'all get those in. Now, some of the stuff as I was watching through, we'll get back to some 3D printing really, really quick. You used to do some HueForge.
That's right.
Okay. Now, do you still do a lot of that? Do you have any of those prints around to show some things that you've done?
I do. One moment.
Okay.
Let me grab one.
I got my TD1, guys, so I'm excited. I've been playing with this since Tuesday. I've learned a lot.
So in the Halloween theme, every year um, I like to take on a different art style to kind of keep up my design and art skills.
Okay.
So I created Misfit Printing actually got me to thinking about this, but creating Hue Forges each day for Inktober. I don't know if you've heard of Inktober, but that's kind of the guys that I run under in order to try new mediums every year
Okay.
and kind of learn them. So here's some
That's cool.
examples of those.
Yeah.
And what I did with these is I was using AI to generate a lot of the base images,
Okay.
which I had done AI generation in a previous year. But I used AI to generate the base images. I'd edit them in Photoshop, bring them into HueForge, and then create these black and white uh, kind of uh, representations
Yeah, that's
of
cool.
like the monsters of Halloween. And so, yeah, these are all linked in my link tree as well,
Okay.
um, to the files for them. They're all free. Um, in fact, the frame that is on all of these is actually a modular frame that somebody in Ben's Discord helped me develop.
Okay.
Uh, so it's a Fusion 360 file that you can download,
Yeah.
and the frame just kind of breaks apart. It has little nodules in here, and so you print it. You print each side, and then slip your Q4 in and just kind of put them together. I created the initial version of it, and then somebody in Ben's Discord, I think it's Memetics 3D,
Okay.
helped me actually make it parametric so that I could put the file up and y'all could use it for more than just this size
Yeah.
frame.
That is great. That is great. Those are really, really cool. So, now you were talking about using AI. So I assume you have a favorite AI image generator. What would that be?
Yeah, Mid Journey, hands down,
Okay.
is my favorite. It is costly, and I'm starting to wonder if it's worth the cost
Right.
as I go forward, because Stable Diffusion and others have come so far.
Mhm.
But I'm just so used to Midjourney's prompt structure now,
Yeah.
and how to get what I want out of it, that uh, I kind of go through that. In fact, I use ChatGPT and Dolly to form my prompts before I take them over in ChatGPT and Dolly to form my prompts before I take them over into Midjourney to try and generate anything.
Right. I do the same thing with Claude.
Mhm.
It's always good to work with something and try to come up with a really good prompt, because that is the most
Yeah.
important part, and each system is so different.
hmm
Yeah.
I've got a few GPTs linked in my thing as well that they're free to use. One of them is a HueForge optimizer where you can give it any image and it'll give you the settings for HueForge to try out that'll get you close
Huh.
to what you need. And another one is the Mid-Journey prompt optimizer,
Right.
and another one is like Layer R or it's Layer RX. Um, but it basically you can submit a photo of like a failed print and a little description, and it'll tell you what to try to fix it.
Huh. That's cool. That is cool. And he has done some really cool stuff, guys, on just 3D printing and trying to troubleshoot. Definitely look, and I'll put that link up again for everybody who's interested. Just go there. You'll find all the information, all the links, and everything that he's talking about there. There's a lot of cool stuff there. A lot of cool stuff that he just shares out to the community. So if we're in a room, we're talking with people who, for the most part, are 3D printers. They sell things. They're trying to get better at creativity. There's a lot of different things happening, and they look at AI as kind of this scary thing. And I don't know if many people in this room do. Some of them have fully embraced it to a point where I want to go back off a little bit. It's okay. But what how do you suggest, if someone's new at AI or trying to just start getting their feet wet with AI, is there a place you suggest that they start?
Yeah, most of the chat engines are free to use now for so long. And all of the image generation engines are free to use for so long. But the first thing that I would suggest to somebody just getting into this is learn how to write good prompts. Um, it's getting less and less important as the models are getting more and more sophisticated.
Hmm.
But writing a good prompt is the basis of being able to use it to its fullest. So learn about the structure. I use the Risen framework myself,
Okay.
uh, and gets great results out of it fullest. So learn about the structure. I use the Risen framework myself,
Okay.
uh, and gets great results out of it. So learn the structure of prompts, learn how to emphasize certain things, and then that way you'll know how to get better results out of it. Because if you just go and you have a chat with ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini or Bing, it's great. They're powerful, and you can just play with it, and that's a great way to learn. But once you master the prompt understanding and being able to write those prompts, you'll get to the next level of
Yeah.
uh, being able to get it to research for you or getting it to actually think about what it's doing, um, things like that.
Yeah. Well, and part of the trick is getting as much out of it with as few prompts as possible because you're trying to save your tokens and everything, right?
That's right.
And
Yeah.
now, is there somewhere you suggest as far as is there a good AI for them to start with first? Is there a place to go and kind of educate themselves on it? How can they proceed that way?
Yeah, it's hard now because YouTube's been so and TikTok's been so saturated with these, like, you know use the AI this way or use it that way, or get rich quick kind of schemes have kind of filtered in. But I would say just go to the Claude website or go to ChatGPT
Yeah.
or go to Gemini and just start having a conversation. If you really want to just play with it and just kind of get your feet wet, download the Bing app. The Bing app allows you free access to ChatGPT with image generation.
Okay. That's cool. That's cool. Another easy way to do it, and this is kind of how I tell people to start. If you're wanting to learn prompting, ask the AI to write a prompt for you. So
Absolutely.
if you kind of describe what you want to do and say, write a prompt for me to give to you, you know,
Yeah.
it'll write a prompt. Is that something? What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's I do that to this day. In fact, I will query a chat engine, with what I'm trying to look up, have it ask me questions that it thinks are pertinent to it, to format the prompt, and then tell it, okay, I want to use the Risen framework. Put this in the Risen framework, and it'll spit that out for me.
Okay.
Uh, the other thing that I'll say is, don't always trust the output. So think of this: if you're a senior programmer and you're using ChatGPT to write code, think of the code that it outputs as like what a junior programmer would output.
Yeah.
If you're writing novels, think about it as your drafter. It's somebody. If
Right.
you were doing a biography, it's somebody that's doing a draft for you to then approve.
Right. Right.
Don't just take the output and run with it. Even today, with the image generations that we have, the capabilities they have, I'm still in Photoshop for every single one of them, editing small details like
Yeah.
a missing finger or the lighting coming from the wrong way or all kinds of different things.
Yep. Yeah. So I need to get you to come in the Discord server and teach a prompt class sometime. We need to get together and do that. I think that would
Yeah,
be something very useful. We'll get offline and we'll plan a time to make that happen. We just had an OBS class, so I'm trying to have a few more things in the server. So I think that would be awesome. Um,
nice.
all right, guys. Anything else? We got somebody trying to wanting to do more with AI, but they need to switch from AMD cards.
Mm.
I don't know. What do you think? So to run just a basic, like you and I have been having some discussions in the AI LLM room in our Discord server, and I,
Yeah.
I was trying to set up an LLM on my laptop and just kind of asking for some advice, where to start and everything, and what requirements for a machine would be. What would the base requirements for someone, what would they need as far as like processor plus GPU, that type of stuff?
Yeah, it depends on what you're wanting out of it. You can run LLMs on a Raspberry Pi, but it's going to be slow, or it's not going to have the billions of parameters that ChatGPT does.
Hmm.
Um, so you don't need a performant machine to run an LLM, but if you're wanting to run similar models to what's out there, then yeah, you gotta have beefy machines. My one of the machines at work we have has like dual 4090s and uh, 96 gigs of RAM just to be able to run an 80 billion parameter model. Um, and that's nowhere near what ChatGPT or Gemini is.
Right.
So if you're wanting to do local development with them, look for the distilled 4 to 13B models, and you can run those on commercial grade Windows machines. I have a I have an M1 Max Mac that I run, as well as a couple of M4 Minis that I run, and those are run 13B to 27B models, no problem.
Huh. Okay. Okay. Well, and you gave me Olama, which is a website where you can download a lot of different AIs.
That's
And
right.
we ended up installing Llama on my machine. And I think we did
Mm,
was it the 8 billion parameters? I
yeah.
think is what we installed. And it works. I've got a PC with 32 gig of RAM and a 4060 RTX. And it
Mhm.
seems to do really well. Seems to do really
Yeah.
well. Um,
Olama is one of my favorite local LLM things to run, just because it gives you the same API structure as ChatGPT.
okay.
So you can take things, build it locally without incurring any cost, on the lower model, and then if you want to deploy it and use the higher end models at cost, when you're ready for that, then you can do that because the APIs. If you want to deploy it and use the higher end models at cost, when you're ready for that, then you can do that because the API is the same. You just change the endpoint.
Oh, okay. Okay. I haven't learned that far yet. That's awesome. I like that. That's going to make my cloud integration much better. That's great.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Good, good, good. So a lot of the news around AI right now, I know we've had some copyright rulings and different things. What are you liking, disliking? What are you seeing coming down the pipe?
Yeah, I'd pay more attention if they knew how to connect their own devices to Wi-Fi. But I
Shh.
do, yeah, I do have to pay attention for my work. And uh, yeah, some of the copyright rulings they've had, I agree with. Some of them I don't. Like this new one of that text output from LLMs aren't considered copyrightable,
Hmm.
because they said that the input prompts aren't complex enough in order to say that the output was unique or genuine.
Mm.
Uh, and I disagree with that. I think it depends on the prompt, right?
Yeah.
Uh, if they saw one of my prompts that I have to write for work, then they would probably act differently
Yeah.
versus somebody just chatting prompt, right?
Yeah.
Uh, if they saw one of my prompts that I have to write for work, then they would probably act differently
Yeah.
versus somebody just chatting with the Bing app. That can be considered a prompt as well.
Okay. Looking at some other things. We got people in DeepSeek. Yeah, we have Daxian talking about
Hmm.
so they're writing code for Arduino,
Yeah.
building MIDI controllers with Arduino, um, lots and lots of stuff. Um, and the guy makes, thank you for jumping in. Thank you for coming. We're actually talking to Modern Magician, a great guy when it comes to AI, when it comes to electronics, 3D printing. See, he knows. We call him that. He likes to think of himself as the general guy, right? He has a good general knowledge of a lot, but he's got some deep knowledge of a lot of the stuff that all of us work in nowadays. So it's always fun to talk with him. What's up, Resin God? How are you doing? Good to see you.
Nice. I was talking about him earlier with the tiny.
That we've got a lot more model generators coming out. Bamboo seems to be doing a ton with AI for their website and giving access to it. Are you hearing about anything? Are you seeing stuff that's not mainstream right now?
Yeah, I don't know if it's mainstream or not, but I see a movement in model generators. We've come a long way in the last year in 3D model generation. From they were doing splats, a year ago,
Yep.
basically take a video and they could create a splat out of it, and and do that to now we have true image to model generation. And I've tried several of the ones out there. I even have like a Meshy subscription where I'm generating 3D models out of it. But Bamboo Labs, yeah, they're kicking butt. Their image to 3D generator is way better than many of
Mhm.
the industry experts out there.
Wow, that's are you using a lot of those? Are you seeing some creators using them and showing off, stuff?
Yeah, I've been chatting with a few.
Okay.
I'm using them personally, and just like with the images that I use for like my pod stuff or print on demand stuff,
Right.
uh, I heavily am editing them. So I've been working on the workflow that I need in order to refine those. Which today it's I'll generate it in Meshi or I generate it in Bamboo's image to 3D, and then take it into something like Nomad Sculpt, and it gives me a good base to work off of. So I wouldn't consider myself a sculptor
Mhm.
or somebody who could start from a ball and build up models. In fact, I did an Inktober one time trying to learn Nomad Sculpt where I built these things, and none of those models I would have released as like
Right.
here's a public release of this model. Um, so anyway, using the AI generator and then refining it has been great. And it's not just for 3D printing. I actually am building an iOS app for potty training for kids. Uh, where you get a kid and you're trying to potty train them, they have their phone anyway, and they're trying to potty, but they're not able to sit or focus or whatever on it. And so you need something that captures their attention.
Yep.
So I created these potty heroes, kind of after Paw Patrol kind of figures, but these are like the poo emoji and the toilet paper emoji are a hero. And I was able to take the same 3D assets that they had, put them in Blender, and then turn them into USDZs that I can use in the apps.
Right. That's awesome. Now, are you placing a GPS perimeter around the bathroom so when they walk in, the character pops up on their phone?
Well, one of the neat things that I didn't know that ChatGPT helped me with was the COPA laws. So when you're trying to build things for minors, you
Mhm.
cannot actually track their location.
Right.
So that
Yeah, that
that feature that feature would be disabled without like an IoT device to help. One thing.
right, right. No, I get that. I get that. Well, that's cool. Now, are you seeing any modeling structures, AI structures on the engineering side?
Oh, absolutely. Um, if you're an engineer and you're trying to boost your productivity, there's no better way than with some of these models to create that boilerplate and stuff for you.
Okay.
Uh, and AI, what OpenAI really released a few years ago was we were working on models and spending training time and spending a ton of time working on these models to prototype just to say, will this work?
Right.
In this way that we think it will. We'll take all this data and we'll train it, spend all these compute hours, and then it might not even work. What they changed is now we can say insert AI here in the pipeline, with a cool custom prompt and actually test rapidly to say, could an AI actually handle this?
Okay.
Uh, and then we can refine it and fine tune it or build cross encoders or things like that.
Okay.
Uh, take it outside of the LLM world. But rapid prototyping for AI took a huge uh, like it hit the gas on prototyping and AI when OpenAI came out with ChatGPT.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I know Thangs, the parent company of Thangs.com,
Mhm.
has been working on their system to track parts of 3D
Yeah,
prints. And if you're designing something, it'll say, wait, you've already designed that. It's over here. And it'll pull it in for you and do some interesting things.
yeah, Fizna is super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've met the a couple of the higher up people there about their AI and talked to them a little bit about it. Their search algo is crazy. Before before Make a World and Bamboo came into the picture, things was, on, like, they were where I went every day
Yeah.
to look for models or geometry,
Yeah.
and they're just getting better. The geometry search that they have now is crazy, and the way it works is the same way words to vectors work. They're taking models and turning them into vectors,
Okay.
uh, model descriptions and turning them into vectors.
That is cool. That
Yeah.
is cool. That's yeah. I've never played with it, but that is neat. That is neat. Oh, Kuma, I'm sorry. I'm just seeing some of Akuma's messages and everything. I'm sorry to hear that. Um, wow. Um, so yeah, so guys, last minute questions. Time to get your last questions in here. We've had a good crowd tonight. I'm excited about we've had people come in several different places. Time to get your last questions in here. We've had a good crowd tonight. I'm excited about we've had people come in several different places asking questions. We have really expanded across different platforms, just so everybody knows. So you can catch us live in a lot of different places. Um, if you have problems here in TikTok, you've always got YT, you've always got the Insta, Rumble. We're going to be hitting probably Twitter here soon, and so we're trying to get this everywhere so we can pull in an audience. So, Buddy is asking, how did you grow up to be as cool? Or yeah, how do we grow up to be as cool? Well, I think you do the exact same things he did, and you'll be as cool as he is. No, I think the
I actually give talks on that in some of the conferences on how to turn, like, I don't consider myself cool, but how to turn yourself in from software developer or maker into a hybrid of the two. And it's basically like how I'm faced with a problem or a new technology, I
right.
use those Halloween props, or I use, a safe way to experiment in order to learn about that. So, like the Inktober thing that I talked about. So every October I learn a new medium, and then every Halloween I try to build a new Halloween prop. Every Christmas I try to build a crazy Christmas tree. Like, we talked about the Halloween stuff tonight, but I'm most known in the industry for my Christmas trees.
Okay.
Uh, so yeah, just take the thing that you're wanting to learn and have a safe place to learn in it, where if you fail, you're still going to have a pumpkin, you're still going to have a Christmas tree. uh, you know if you put out stuff that sucks on Inktober, just stop putting it out for a couple of days.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to.
Yeah, I get that.
You're still going to have a Christmas tree. uh, you know if you put out stuff that sucks on Inktober, just stop putting it out for a couple of days.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to.
Yeah, I get that. And I think you speak to something really important. I think when it comes,
Day job, I do 3D printing on the side, and I have 4 kids. So time management is a really big thing, and I have ADHD, so it's like,
yeah,
whatever I'm hyper focused on at the moment. But I was a smoker, an actual smoker, for a long time, and I would, spend 10 minutes outside smoking. I turned that into, when I quit smoking, I'm going to spend 10 minutes thinking about this project, and I try to break the project down to begin with, and, like, this is what I want to create, and this is the technologies I want to use, and then I spend those 10 minutes at a time, kind of iterating on it. Sometimes towards the end of October, it means that I'm staying up for 2 days
mm,
and working on it just because I'm passionate about it. Um, but sometimes it's, 10 minutes at a time. You get you a long way. You
yeah,
you would, I think it's called a Pomodorian timer. When I used to smoke, I could time myself. One cigarette was like 10 minutes.
right.
And that was my break time. So I kind of used that as my Pomodorian timer when I started doing these investments into those little bits of time.
Yeah.
I used that Pomodorian timer, like, I'm going to spend 10 minutes on this, everything else shut out.
Okay. Okay. No, and that's a great philosophy. I think that is. It's what's the I can't remember the saying. You can accomplish less in a year than you think you can, but in a week you can do more.
That's how you
Yeah.
go. Absolutely. If you're focused, you can do a lot of stuff. But don't get me wrong, like if you've ever seen the meme of uh, the software engineer with like a million half built houses, and they're like, "What's this? Oh, this is all of my abandoned projects."
Yep.
That's me. Like, there's been so many things that I've even put on TikTok, like there's something coming, or I'm still working on this, and then I've just never gotten back to it because my ADHD hyperfocus went. Whoosh.
Right. Yeah. Well, and that's what I've kind of decided. My goal this year is it doesn't go, nothing is said about it on TikTok until it's finished.
Yeah.
Then I'll talk about what I'm going to put out.
And see, I like to talk with people about the projects too midway through the project because
Yeah.
sometimes they can be the breaking point of me realizing how to do something or how to solve something. There's
Yeah.
been many times where I've posted a video of something and they're like, "Oh, have you seen this? Or have you tried that?" And I'll be like, "No, I haven't. Let me go do that."
Well, that's cool. That is cool. That is cool. Well, that's awesome. Guys, I think we're going to close it out unless I see another question. I'm not seeing any more, but I appreciate everybody for being here tonight. Modern, thank you. Thank you so much for being here. Is there anything that you'd like to tell everybody in the room before we close this out?
Sure. My name comes from an Arthur C. Clarke quote that's any sufficient technology is indistinguishable from magic. So if you create technology, if you try to blend these 3D prints with electronics, or even going from a design to an actual manufactured thing, if you went back or you talk to people who don't know about 3D printing, they don't know that that's not magic. So everybody that does this sort of stuff are modern magicians, not just me. I'm just the one that took the name.